Antony, we have to mention him as well, of course, because
Read the stat.
Last season he had 43 shots in the league and scored 1 goal. Yeah.
Joe, have you ever attempted anything in your life 43 times and succeeded once?
Manchester United ranked 17th in the number of goals scored this season, meaning in the Premier League. Only 3 league teams have scored fewer goals than us. There's so many things going on with United's front line at the minute. What is Rashford's role? Is Hojlund the first choice? And will Garnacho ever pass? They're just some of the questions that we're going to look at today. Steve, we're here to talk about Manchester United's front line, one that in Europe can't stop scoring goals and can't stop conceding them, and in the league has got one of the best clean sheet records of anyone, but can't get the ball in the back of the net. It's a bit bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, it was kind of clocked early doors in the season, wasn't it? Like I've said this a few times, when we were linked with Ivan Toney, you're like, yeah, I don't know how or where or why, but yeah, because he'll score some goals. Like, you know, when you look at what our forward line was, you've got the 6 of our forward line. Zirkzee wasn't coming with 25 goals. You know, that wasn't his game. Hojlund's never scored that number in his life. I don't even think he's accumulatively scored that number of goals in his life, let alone in a season. You're asking for Marcus to drop one of his 1-in-5s.
Yep.
You're asking for Garnacho to do something he's never done. And you're asking for Ahmad, who's a rookie, to produce like Mo Salah numbers. And then you got Antony. No comment. So when you look at that 6 first choice, how do you compare that? Like, people are taking the piss out of Mudryk at Chelsea. He might be our best attacker.
He's not better than Rashford or Hojlund or Garnacho. He might get minutes for us, but he's not one. He's not up.
But isn't he like their 9th choice winger?
Yeah, I think so.
That's my point.
Yeah.
And then you look at what I think Núñez is pretty shit, but he gets chances and he gets goals and he's playing alongside players that are going to provide him with that. Whether it's Jota, whether it's Diaz, whether it's Salah, they're not relying on him to score. Luckily, or not. 30 goals a season.
No.
Because there's other people that are going to contribute those goals.
Just looking at you mentioned there about people providing for Núñez. I want to start there, and I want to start with Marcus Rashford because multiple reasons. But I think not only has he improved on last season, unquestionably, in terms of work rate and effort and output even up until now as well. He's getting more goals, he's getting more assists. I actually think the evidence suggests he might even be playing a different role entirely to last season. So just looking at a couple of his numbers, and we can see, we'll put the heat maps on the screen here. The bottom one there is last season, and look how much more red there was in around the edge of the 18-yard box, inside the 18-yard box, and then that little cluster on the edge there as well. He was much more prevalent in the centre of the pitch. Now, most of what he's doing is on the wings, and he's cutting in obviously as well. You can see it, to a certain degree, but nowhere near as much as he was last season. And sort of pair that with the numbers that we're seeing from him. Last season, his assists per 90, or expected assists per 90 last season, was 0.09. So basically, every 11 games he might expect to get an assist from him. That's basically how that works out. This season, he's on 0.29 assists or expected assists per 90, which means roughly every 3 games he should be getting an assist. That's a massive difference, isn't it? Do you think that's a difference in him, in his focus in the team? Do you think that's something Ten Hag said to him? Or do you think it's early in the season, it's just a coincidence? For me, that feels like, a change in how he's playing, definitely.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm seeing, the heat maps might be skewed a little bit, but the 2 heat maps that we've seen there's a lot of going on in the middle. There's not a lot going on in the middle. I don't know if that's an accumulative thing. He's played a little bit on the right this season, more so than last season. Last season he was just bad. Yeah. He was just plain and simply bad. I agree that individually he has looked a lot better this season. He's not quite getting the goals and the assists, obviously, because we are lacking heavily in goals. Yeah. But I do think he's not only is he playing better, but his attitude looks better too, where he looks more willing, he looks more up for it. And I think that goes a hell of a long way. Obviously, from a metrics point of view, if he can start delivering 1 assist in 3 and maybe 1 goal in 3 as well, that's not a bad return, and that would be a good solid season from him, and he's something he's capable of as well.
Definitely. Just on the assist thing as well, because whilst last season we're comparing him to last season, his expected assists this season are the highest they've ever been in his career. So it's not just better than last year; it is a standout for everything he's been doing. In contrast to that, though, his shots per 90 have gone way down. It was 2.4 a game last season. Now it's only 1.25 shots per game. So that. Are we losing something there? Or is it almost like you've got Hojlund, who's not really an assist maker, you've got Garnacho, we'll get to in a minute, who's the same. Do you think Rashford's taking it upon himself, or do you think this is just a evolution of his game? Why do you think we're seeing this? Do you think it's a Ten Hag thing? Or?
Don't know. It could be a management thing. It could be, I think I've mentioned it a couple of times this season, like, we have to provide chances for each other. That's one of my major frustrations with Garnacho, and I know we're going to talk about him, in terms of that decision-making wise. He leaves you very frustrated at times because he gets into fantastic positions, which is a skill in itself, and then does the wrong thing with it. I still think Marcus is playing a little bit within himself in terms of his striking. I'm not saying let's go and have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 shots a game, although people probably forgot this. Early doors, Cristiano Ronaldo was having 12 shots a game and was not scoring a single goal a game. He was 1 in 5-ish. So he would waste 50, 60 shots before he scored. It's Antony numbers. People are going to go, no, it was. Yeah. It was very frustrating. The good thing about the team that he was playing at the time is that he was having 10, everybody else was getting 10 as well, so it wasn't a drama, whereas now we're not really getting that many. No. So if someone was taking 10, we might not even be having 10. No, it's that problematic for us. But anyway, I think he's still holding a little bit back. I think he's still playing within himself a little bit. But yeah, I think he is making more informed decisions where he is actually looking for him. And especially if you play him off the right, I think when he ends up in the half space there, as we saw with his assist for Garnacho, there was only one time I think I remember him taking it on and shooting. It was actually the wrong decision at the time, where pass was on, actually. But you have to have a blend in your forward line. There has to be people who are there to go, I'm going to set people up. And people have to be like, I'm there to score. And I wonder, though, it's nice to see Marcus being unselfish, but he's the one with the highest number of goals in a season out of all of that forward line. Should it not be the other way around?
He's the proven goal scorer there, isn't he? And I wonder as well if, and as it is with all, often the way with these things, it's not just one thing. It's not just Ten Hag said. It's 5 or 6 small things. Maybe one of them is the fact that he doesn't have a naturally left-footed full-back overlapping. Yep. So which would instinctively push you into the box a little bit more.
Yeah, you get the overlap. You get the distracted defender. You're cutting on your right, and you have a dig.
Yeah, he's not, and I don't think at any point this season, except with Martinez, who's certainly not overlapping, had a left-footed fullback coming over his shoulder, if you'll pardon the phrase. Moving on to another player then. Let's just get to Garnacho, because you mentioned him then. Just some of his stats are absolutely amazing, just from a detailed perspective. Like, his shots per 90 is 4. He's having 4 shots per game, which is double Rashford's, even almost double him last season, almost 3 times his shots per 90 this season. But on the other hand, his expected assist per 90 is 0.07, which was even lower than Rashford last year. So that's what you said there about he gets the ball, he has a shot. It literally tells you it right there. He's not creating for others, and he is creating for himself. He's had 8 goals and assists in 12 games so far, which numbers-wise is good. But do you think he's hindering the possibilities for the players around him, or do you just think we've got a youngster here who, much like Cristiano Ronaldo, is a bit wasteful for now, but he's 20 years old and he'll grow out of it? What do you make of Garnacho?
It's literally half as wasteful as Cristiano Ronaldo was.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm probably doing similar kinds of numbers, actually, in terms of what he's delivering. So on one hand, you have to be like, well, that Ronaldo kid turned out all right. Like, I remember for ages, no end product was the only thing people used to say about him. Yeah. But he was in a team. The frustration was he was having those shots while Ruud van Nistelrooy was losing his shit in the middle of the pitch. And then you go, just cross it, Ruud, because I know Ruud, if you cross him, will score 40 goals a season for us. Yeah. Garnacho, the one player he could pass to where you go, he might get 30, is Rashford. And that's a roll of the dice, whether he's in that mood or other moods. There's nobody in the team with Ruud van Nistelrooy pedigree.
No.
So on one hand, you can forgive him for being like, I'll get it done myself, because that's what match winners do. Match winners go, give it here, I'll do it. That's why we love the match winner. But there are times when the better option, and it's hard to sort of sit on a podcast and go, in the 19th minute against Brentford, like, it's hard to pull out all of those examples, but when you watch him, you do see decision making at times is wanting, and it could be better.
Do you think that, again, like, other players are sort of moulding their game around him? And because I look at Hojlund, and I think he averages about 1.5 shots per game last season, which
Really?
for a
Is it
striker,
that many?
Well, yeah, but for a striker, that's very few.
No, it's none. It's essentially none.
Yeah, like Hojlund, I mean, we always talk about this, but the great strikers aren't necessarily the ones who have got the best conversion rate. It's the ones who can have the most shots from good areas. Like, that's what will get you hundreds of goals, is your ability to have shots. Like, if he's having 1.5 shots per game, if he's the best striker in the world, he's going to really struggle to get more than 20 goals a season, isn't he?
If he's the best striker in the world, he's getting 1 in 3.
Yeah.
Which means 20 over a course of a long season that you played every game in. More like 15, actually.
Yeah. So how do we change that? Is it up to him? Is it his positioning? Because someone like Haaland doesn't have many touches, but he's having 4 or 5 shots a game. Is it on Hojlund, or do we have to look across that front line and the players behind him and say,
it is both.
We need to work out a bit more in it?
It is both, because Zirkzee actually came into this season, and although I think United as a whole are making more than we did do last season, it is both.
Yeah.
You can't just expect everything to come on a plate here. You know, is he? I don't feel like he's getting the ball in great areas and hesitating.
No.
So then you would have to say, well, are we feeding him enough? And you've got to remember, go back to Sir Alex's last season, he absolutely bollocked the whole squad and was like, this guy will win you the league. You lot need to pass him the ball. So that was a team that was literally champions.
Talking about Van Persie.
Eventually, yeah, talking about Van Persie.
Yeah.
They've then not feeding Van Persie. Like, I have a stat in my head which I was going to save for the Antony one.
Yeah.
Because I've seen some of the notes in terms of Antony. I'm pretty sure it's either shots on target or shots total. And I want to say it's shots total. Robin Van Persie, when we won the league, had 88 shots total.
He scored 30 goals?
Not in the league, he didn't.
Okay.
Just Premier League. I think he scored 22, 24.
Something like that, yeah. It was 30 in all comps, wasn't it?
So 20 whatever in the league and 88 shots actually rings quite true for what he was probably going to do. That's only 2-ish a game, because he actually played 38 games that year. Because I remember that was the whole thing about him. He came on as a sub against Everton, and then I think he started the remaining 37 games. So that's only just over 2. But this is Robin Van Persie. And he's in a team that's got Wayne Rooney and other players that know how to score a goal. So Hojlund has to have 1 or 2 more shots per game minimum to even have a chance at doing it. I remember some seasons I've seen, one of the reasons I never really fancied, I'm sure he had 180 shots one season, because I think that's where I got the RVP one from.
What Raheem Sterling did?
I'm pretty sure he had, one of his Chelsea seasons, I think it was. Was it Chelsea? No.
Must have been City.
Sorry, one of his City seasons. Over 180 shots.
That's a lot, isn't it? What's that, like 5 a game?
Yeah.
Somewhere in that ballpark, and if it's league.
I'm pretty sure he was scoring every 6.
Yeah. And he got 30 goals in a season because he had so many chances, so many shots.
Volume.
Yeah. I mean, Hojlund...
There is a skill to getting a shot off early, and there is a skill to getting in the right place to be fed chances. And obviously there's a skill in terms of finish. Like Anthony Martial's finishing was godly.
Yeah.
But was he getting in? He wasn't getting on the pitch enough, but he wasn't getting into the right areas enough to facilitate him ever being like a 30, 40 goal a season striker.
Yeah. Do you think I know you can't teach everything. Van Nistelrooy's there, but plenty of players get coached by top strikers or midfielders and never become them.
They just score 30 goals a season.
Yeah, look, do what I did. But do you think in terms of like positioning, body shape, where to put your defender, where to sort of find yourself in the box, that is probably the sort of thing that Van Nistelrooy could hopefully teach a player like Hojlund. If he's struggling to get the ball in the right areas. I've never seen anyone better than Van Nistelrooy doing that. Do you think that could be something there, or do you think we're asking too much for him to, teach him how to be Ruud Van Nistelrooy?
I think there's probably a level of what Ruud did being instinctual, because Ruud was a central midfielder, and someone let me just try him up front, and then he scored like 20 goals.
Really?
And they went, let's just keep him here, and then I think he scored like 40 the next season.
I didn't realise that.
Yeah, he was a centre mid until he was like 20, 19 or something. Like he was.
It's so weird that, isn't it?
Yeah.
That it's just because it isn't.
And by the way, he wasn't a goal scoring centre mid. He was just a centre mid. He was just like a proper like Ander Herrera, and he was like, let's put him up front. Oh my god, he 40 goals.
And he just doesn't stop scoring for 15 years.
Yeah. So whatever that was, I don't know if he played up front in training. And he went, okay, he's got some right movement.
Yeah.
Some of it's clearly instinctual. Some of it absolutely can be taught. There's a lot of technique involved in certainly like. Chicharito had this nailed in terms of the technical running into the box to get blindside of a defender, to make him turn around and see where you are as you're approaching the ball so you can get across him and get in front of him. There's those things. There's the technical aspects of shooting, which is an entire thing.
Yeah.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would be one to speak to about that. I think Ollie mentioned at some point that when he was training with the likes of Cole and York and Teddy Sheringham, they would all be more interested in getting control of the ball, whereas Ollie kind of focused on just shinning it into the net as much as possible.
Yeah.
And maybe there's something to learn in that because his goals per minute and shot were...
It's one of the best in the league. Yeah. His goals and assists per minute are one of the best in Premier League history. He's like fifth on the list. It's amazing how clinical and how good a striker Solskjaer was.
Yeah.
And
so
I do think
absolutely things you can learn, but I think there's so much of it is instinct.
And Hojlund is obviously he can do a bit of both, but he's quite a set it, smack it kind of striker, isn't he? So maybe a little bit of that stuff.
Shin it in, lad.
Yeah. This video is brought to you by Manscaped. And do you want your beard and balls to be a one and done deal? Because with Manscaped, that is how it goes with their new beard hedger. Obviously, we already know Manscaped take care of downstairs. They're the leaders in below the waist grooming for a reason. And now they've brought out the beard hedger with 20 different optional lengths. So you can take your beard, a little taper on it. You can chisel it out. You can put a little Nike tick in it if you want to, like it's the mid-2000s all over again. And using our code Paddock24, you get 20% off and free shipping if you click the link in the description and use our code. Again, it's not just the beard hedger, of course, because the Lawnmower 5.0 is taking care of things downstairs as well. And that's got interchangeable blades so you can get closer than ever. It's waterproof. It's got a light on it. It's got a lock switch as well so it doesn't go off in your bag when you're traveling. It's literally built from the ground up for your balls. It is perfect, and Manscaped will show you the way. Again, use the code Paddock24 in the description. Make sure you use that for 20% off and free shipping at checkout. Your balls will thank you. Let's talk about Zirkzee a little bit then, because he's been the new signing, completely different to everyone else we've got, quite different to anyone I've seen really. He's got a weird, and I don't mean this as a negative necessarily, although recent weeks he hasn't been quite so good, but he's got almost like a bit of a Sunday League physique, I think. Like he's big and he's quite bulky. He's not hugely ripped and sort of ferociously quick as you might expect from someone with those long levers. He's quite a soft, big man, isn't he, if you know what I mean?
He looks like a second rower in rugby.
Yeah, he's got a rugby body. That's what it is. He's got a rugby body to him. He's not, like I said, not particularly quick. He doesn't really hit the ball with that sort of venom that a Hojlund or a Rashford does, where it's stinging the back of the net. But he does have a lovely touch, and he can bring others into the game. Where is that needed, and where is that not needed? Because already this season, I think he's had a 2.5 XG and he's only scored 1 goal. And obviously that doesn't tell the full story because he's not actually played that many minutes. He's underachieving in terms of his output, undoubtedly. What is he, and what is he to Man United? I'm still trying to get to grips with him.
I don't know. I don't know if the long-term plan is they play together. I don't know if the long-term plan is he is a different option. I don't know if he is the more refined Scott McTominay option off the bench. It's 0-0. It's 30 minutes to go. We move another pawn into an attacking area. Because here's what happens late in games. It happens at every level. 20 minutes to go. It's 0-0. Heavy favourite, heavy underdog. Shit.
Yeah.
And people naturally start launching it forward. We're launching it forward to fucking Ahmad and Antony. You might as well just launch it out for a throw-in. But if you've got a big old boy in the middle, maybe there's a bit more method in the madness. Now, it's a bit of a shite thing to be signed to be the it's gone tits up off the bench option.
Yeah.
But maybe there's something in that. Maybe there's games where actually he's exactly what you want. Maybe it requires a different number 10 because I feel like him and Bruno occupy the same spaces a lot of the time.
Yeah.
He doesn't lead the line. If you're going to have Zirkzee in the team, I think you need a Rashford and a Garnacho to get ahead of the ball.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everybody's coming to feet and it looks like Southgate's England. Dog shit.
Yeah. I mean, with Zirkzee, weirdly, he's averaging more shots per game than Hojlund and Rashford are. So it's not like he doesn't get in the zone. But
He's got the knack, hasn't he?
I don't know if you remember it from the game at the weekend, but there's a point where Rashford sort of lays him off in the box, and if he controls the ball, he's 8 yards out with the goal in front of him, and the ball, he just doesn't quite get his sharpness or something about his body. Maybe he's just not very athletic. I don't know what it is. But at certain times, I think in front of goal, he's a heavy touch, or it's probably in his head as well.
Has he landed and just gone, oh my God, Greggs is amazing?
Maybe. But I just think I would back myself on my day to control that. It's like, I don't know, you see it sometimes. I think Amrabat had spells of it last season as well, where there were certain games I just thought, you're just way off the pace here. And Ugarte looked like that against Tottenham, I thought.
Maybe it's a little bit of getting used to. Premier League pace is different.
Yeah.
It is a step up from everything, including international football. Maybe for that reason, maybe you'll see him more in Europe.
Yeah, maybe. Just Antony, we have to mention him as well, of course, because
read the stat.
Last season he had 43 shots in the league and scored 1 goal. What is that as a percentage?
2-ish.
Not ideal, is it? When you're looking at elite strikers of, like you said, 1 in 3, and that's the best finishers.
That's 33%.
Yeah, top strikers even 25%. Yeah.
A shit striker's about.
So he's a tenth of that.
He's about, a shit striker's like high teens, 17, 18, 19%.
Yeah.
2%, you'd say, actually, let's not bother, eh? It's like putting a fucking lottery ticket on. I mean, we was joking, weren't we? Oh, what's going to happen here? Antony's going to cut inside on his left foot and twat it over the bar. It's literally what he was doing. 43 shots for 1 goal.
Yeah.
Joe, have you ever attempted anything in your life 43 fucking times and succeeded once?
It's a good question. I'm sure there.
If I said
yes,
let me go park this car.
Yeah.
And I hit the curb 43 times, or hit a lamppost, or an old lady, or whatever, 43 times, and then eventually parked it, you'd be like, I'm never letting you drive again.
Yeah.
43 shots for 1 fucking goal. I think I could take 43 shots and score 2.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Because he's got his thing, which is he cuts inside and he hits it. But he's not, like, statistically, he's not actually that good at it, if you know what I mean. Like, that's his thing. But it's, like, numbers-wise, it's not, he doesn't do it very well.
That's an arm round. I mean, he's had the arm round the shoulder this year, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Been like, hey, do you want to play with some blocks while they're all doing that?
Yeah. Like, he has been dropped out of the first team. He didn't get in the first team, or I don't think he was even in the squad for the FA Cup final. He certainly didn't play.
43 shots for 1 goal.
None of this would matter if he didn't cost 80 million quid.
Oh my God, and he cost 80 million quid.
What do you do with him? Because there's been some rumours of a loan. I think Newcastle reportedly interested in when
really?
Because they wanted Alanga, didn't they, which didn't work, and then last second Antony was one of the names mentioned. I don't know if it was legit, but there have been some teams linked with him. Ajax, another one, although apparently they don't want him. But what would you? But genuinely though, this is an £80 million conundrum, isn't it?
Yeah.
What would you be doing? And you have to remember that you brought him for your Ten Hag. What do you do with Antony?
I'd be like, listen, I didn't pay 80 mil for him. Y'all did that.
Yeah.
I said I wanted a right-sided player. Antony's pretty good. I thought he was going to get him for a tin of beans. 80 million's wild. I think you got to cut the losses on him.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think you can justify it.
We'll put the screenshot in here. This is this sort of shot map of where he took these shots from, and obviously there is a heavy cluster. Probably 60% or so of those shots were taken in the Antony zone, as I like to call it. But there's a handful of them that are in and around the penalty spot. A couple in the 6-yard box as well.
Well, he's only got 3.38 xG.
Yeah, from 43 shots.
You shoot from around the penalty spot, it's about a 20.
Yeah.
So it's about 0.2. So like, I actually don't know how he's managed to accrue that few XG from that many shots.
Because most of them are from 25 yards out.
But 25 yard out isn't 50 yard out.
No.
It's a 1%er. There you go. It's a 1%er to shoot from the halfway line. Literally 1% chance. He's basically shooting from the halfway line. Tiny bit better.
Yeah. It's not good.
Beckham didn't take 100 shots from the halfway line either.
No, but
I bet he had about 3.
But here's the other thing on the halfway line thing, though. No one's taking shots from the halfway line. So I would say they've got a disproportionately high XG for how difficult they should be. Because if you're hitting it from the halfway line, it's because the keeper's off his line. Do you know what I mean? Whereas 20 yards out, you'll hit it regardless.
Still a 1%. Still 1% of them go in.
Yeah, that's true. So with Antony, you say cut your losses. What does that look like? Who do you sell him to? What do you do with him? He's still got 3 years left on his contract.
Can you not just like go missing?
What, like Sancho did for a few months?
No, I mean like missing, where he's on the milk and that.
I don't think so.
What if he goes and finds himself in the jungle?
That could work.
Ayahuasca.
Yeah, maybe we'll see a different player come back.
Yeah.
Do you think
a 5-MeO DMT ritual?
That'd be good. Completely changes who he is as a person forevermore.
Doesn't come and twat it from outside the box on his left.
Grows his hair long and becomes Ronaldinho.
Now he wants to be like a defensive midfielder.
I'd be up for that. Tell you what, I could see him as a left back in this crisis time. If I was Antony, obviously we're very different people. If I was Antony and I see Luke Shaw and Malacia injured and I see 1 goal in 43 shots, I'm going to Ten Hag saying, if you need me, I'll do that job. And I'll learn the defensive side of it, but I'll be the most ferocious, overlapping, phenomenal fullback you've ever had. I would try something like that.
They must have tried it in training. They tried it against Liverpool. They must have tried it in training once.
They must have. But Antony looked pissed off, and it was against Arsenal, wasn't it, where he was mouthing to Gabriel Jesus, saying how much he hated playing there. I just think obviously you're an £80 million player. You've got a bit of ego, which you need to have as a footballer. But I just think his next club after Manchester United is so far below Manchester United.
Bracknell.
I don't know.
Do you know when I knew he was a knob?
Okay, go on.
And it's not it's tragic. It's that tragic. It's almost hilarious about the fucking Sonic the Hedgehog thing that he gave to a photographer, and it took him 10 months to score a goal to go and get the fucking thing that this guy's just been fucking carrying around for a year. It's not even that. It was when he's taken a photograph of his Rolex whilst driving his Lamborghini to get the badging of both.
Yeah.
And I just thought, you play for Manchester United. We know you're loaded.
Yeah.
This is dickish.
Yeah. The brag is, I play for Man United, not I've got a watch. Like, anyone can get a watch.
Fucking Lambo. So's half these dicks selling Forex on Instagram. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, the playing for United is the thing that you should be bragging about. Yeah. I mean, do you think there's any chance with him, or is it just play him as few times as we sort of logistically can?
I think you find a way to write off what he cost and give him away to a puppy shelter or something. I don't fucking know. He's got to go.
It's slightly hard.
There's not a fucking player in him. And I don't know if it's because it's Manchester United. I don't know if there's other things at play. And I know he's had some personal stuff which definitely affects your play.
Yeah.
But 43 fucking shots for 1 goal.
Yeah, it's not right. Just as a final question. Going forward, I know obviously there'll be rotation, finding your feet still. What's your front three if you're Erik ten Hag? Let's say between now and the next international break where he's really trying to cement himself as the sort of manager at Man United. Who are you playing?
I think Rashford, Ahmad, Hojlund.
Really? Taking Garnacho. Garnacho's had the most goals and assists so far for United this season. Scored against Brentford.
I think the way Ahmad keeps the ball, I like a lot. I think he creates a lot. I mean, it's been interesting to see what his sort of expected assists are because I think he gets into fantastic positions. I think he links up real nice with the rest of the team, and I think he's a creator first. So I would almost ask Marcus to go back to being the goal scorer, ask Ahmad to be the creator, and ask Hojlund to start sticking it at the back of the net.
And then have Garnacho as just sort of first off the bench
I
kind
think
of
he's
rotation.
A fantastic impact player.
Yeah.
Because I think he starts games the way he comes off the bench, but I think the impact of him against tight defenders with half an hour to go, I think he's fantastic because he will come on and he gets proportionally more chances in that 30 minutes than he would have done if he was on for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Because he's that intensity against tight defences is a massive asset. Same with Zirkzee. Is it 0-0 in case of emergency break glass?
Yeah.
And let's maybe take a midfielder off and go a little bit more drastic, play him and Hojlund together, and see if we can get a little bit of thingy going on there, and go for it.
Yeah.
I think that's how you do it.
And just lastly, are the players we've talked about, Ahmad, Hojlund, Rashford, Zirkzee, Antony, Garnacho, are they capable with Bruno, etc., of United? Because I think it's 58 and 57 goals scored in the league in the Ten Hag's 2 seasons. Are they even capable of making that 80, 90? Or do you think we just have to...
No, I think when you look at... I think you... Maybe not Spurs, but individually, like, I'm taking Son over anyone in United.
Yeah.
I think you go through all of the teams above us and you see that they've just got much better options. City's a weird one because individually, Hojlund aside, Hojlund's a freak of nature in more aspects than one. But individually, the City forward line, Hojlund aside, it underwhelms a little bit for a team that's 4 on the bounce and, you know, favourites to win everything at all times. I think they spread the goals around a lot. Jack Grealish shouldn't get involved in that, but they do spread the goals around quite a lot. And Hojlund obviously just scores an unbelievable disproportionate number of goals. When you look at Liverpool, there's a lot more balance to theirs. I think Chelsea's is better than ours. I think individually Arsenal's is not great either.
But Saka's a reliable 30 goals and assists every year, isn't he?
They produce.
Yeah.
You know, even like Trossard and like Havertz, and they do chip in with goals. Like, I mean, what did Havertz score last year?
I think it was 16 goals.
Right. What did Hojlund get?
16 in all comps.
Was it?
Yeah.
Feels like more for Havertz.
Yeah. Well, I think it was 16 league goals.
All right. Okay. And they were fuming with him.
Yeah.
So, you know, I just think there's a spread of goals in that team that's more than ours. And, you know, even fucking Villa.
Yeah. I know Watkins, what was he getting?
More
25, 30 goals in all competitions? Like, yeah, that is going to be a fundamental
So when you
flaw,
say, like, you know, I think the defence looks quite solid. I'd put United's defence up against anyone else in the league. And I don't think, you know, we're either level or not far off them. I think the midfield, the pieces are there, we just don't know how to play them. But I think the attack is... Well, what have we scored? 17th amount of goals?
7 so far in the league.
I know it's a team game, but I don't think that forward line is capable. When you look back at some of Manchester United, when we signed Robin van Persie, I'm pretty sure we had Rooney, Berbatov, Welbeck, and Chicharito, and signed Robin van Persie.
Yeah.
All of them are better than anything we've got now. Winger-wise, at the time, we would have had Park, Nani, Tony Valencia.
Yeah.
All of them are better than what we've got now. Nani, I fucking hated when he played for us. He was so frustrating. He would be world class.
You know, he got like, I can't remember the exact, something like 40 assists in his first 100 league games.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Like, he was frustrating, but
do you know what Nani's problem was? He wasn't Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
And he just got compared to him, and he suffered because of it. Because actually, in hindsight, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
But at the time, I fucking hated him. Ashley Young would have been a winger, kind of. Like I won't go too far, but no, he's not. He's still shit. But like, when you look at what won the league for us last, let alone when we was at our best, because that last league win was a little bit phoned in. We just don't fucking compare. We can't look at this forward line that we've got. Those 6 players, 1 or 2 of them might get into and bolster a 2013. Hojlund instead of Chicharito, that's not a problem. Rashford instead of Ashley Young, absolutely taking that all day long. But you couldn't replace that with that.
Yeah, that is a bit of an issue, isn't it? Right, thank you very much for joining us. Thanks, Steve, for coming on. Thank you at home as well. Hit subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'll see you in a bit.